can try and win championships, and that's what it's all about. When you look from the outside and you watch this team, I know we're going to have a real good, solid hockey team this year.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to Fireside Rangers. I'm your host, Anthony Rivardo, joined right here by my co-host, Eric Wilson. Today, we are going to discuss Alexis Lafreniere. Now, this is a player who has had a lot of high expectations entering the NHL. He's been in for a couple seasons now, but has he reached those expectations? Well, not quite. And now there's some rumors and speculation swirling around that the Rangers could try to look to trade Alexis Lafreniere this season. So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens, but we want to go over what we think should happen and why it may or may not happen. But before we dive into all that good stuff today, Eric, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. Back at school, back in Florida. Rangers picked up a big win last night, which is always good. A little 3-game win streak going for us right now. Could be the start of another big one, but we got a couple of hard games coming up in the month of January. So we'll see how it goes. But overall, pretty good.
Yeah, the Rangers are rolling once again, which is something that you just love to see. But Alexis Lafreniere, not really rolling. No points in this win streak. He hasn't put up any points on the board. We know last week he was a healthy scratch. And there's a lot of uncertainty right now with Alexis Lafreniere. But there are a few things that we do know about Alexis Lafreniere and this supposed trade market. One thing is that, according to a report, the Canucks were told that Alexis Lafreniere is not available for trade. They inquired to trade for Alexis Lafreniere, and they were denied. They said he is not available. So at the present time, this is a discussion to have. Should the Rangers make him available for trade? But right now, they do not have him available for trade. And here's a quote regarding that situation. The understanding is that certainly predictably there were teams that checked in with the Rangers last week after his healthy scratch that made news around the league. But the reality is that the Rangers have told those teams, hey, we still believe in this young man. The Rangers, my understanding is, have told the same to Lafreniere himself, that they hope this is a good reset and they very much believe in his long-term potential here. So for now, he's certainly a Ranger. End quote. So for now, Alexis Lafreniere is a New York Ranger, and it seems like the Rangers are set on barking at any potential suitors who might try to trade for him. But what do you think of that, Eric? Do you think they are making the right decision to close him off from trade negotiations, or do you think that they should have more of an open mind and consider their options here?
I think the Rangers are making a smart decision there. And I know you might not agree with that. I know you're a little pro trading Lafreniere, but I think the kid does have potential. He's still only on his entry-level contract, which does expire at the end of the season. So, we are going to have to talk about the potential of re-signing him and how we're going to make that work. But I think at this stage in his career, he didn't meet our initial expectations as a first overall pick, but he's slowly growing and developing into a pretty decent NHL player. I know at this point in the season, we're about halfway through. He's played in 39 of those games because of that one healthy scratch that he had right there. And, he's put up 17 points, nothing too crazy right there, but he is on pace to set a new season high for his personal stats right there. So while he hasn't immediately entered the league and just blown up and become a star player, he is slowly developing. He's going to get there. Not everyone is like Connor McDavid, where they just come into the league and instantly put up 100 points a season. So it is going to take him a little bit of time. Like we saw with Kakko, it took him a little bit of time, and now he's finally breaking out. And Lafreniere is still only 21 years old. He's coming into his own. He will get there. And I think the Rangers are making a smart decision right there.
Yeah, so let's talk about that development, though, because as you mentioned, it's a slow development. And who do we blame for that? Because I think that's another important part of this discussion to have, because you could say Alexis Lafreniere not rising to the occasion, not developing on his own, he's failing to meet expectations right now. But is there someone else to blame? Now, if you go on Twitter, you go listen to some fans, a lot of people are blaming Gerard Gallant himself for the lack of ice time that Alexis Lafreniere receives. So here's some stats to discuss that. Alexis Lafreniere has gotten 15-plus minutes in just 2 of the last 17 games. This tweeter regarded this as a masterclass in destroying a player's development by Gerard Gallant. They added that in 174 career NHL games, Alexis Lafreniere is still averaging just over 14 minutes per game. So, Eric, what are your thoughts on that? As my dog shakes because he just awoke from his nap. Well, what are your thoughts on that? Is Alexis Lafreniere receiving enough ice time to develop properly, or is Gerard Gallant and the Rangers, are they holding Alexis Lafreniere back from having that breakout?
I think they're definitely holding him back a little bit. And, you can't put the entire blame on Gallant, but he kind of can at the same time, because for most of his entire career, even back before Gallant was the head coach, when we had David Quinn, Lafreniere has been kind of buried down on the third and even the fourth line at the start of his career. And the other kids who we've been developing, like Kako, like Hedel, have spent a significant more amount of time up there on the top two lines where they get the more ice time, and they've been able to develop properly. So I think if you really want to properly develop Lafreniere, you do need to give him more ice time. He needs to be playing up with the star players like Zibanejad, like Panarin, and that'll help him give him that little boost, that little push that he's going to need to be better. Because when you're down on the third line for your entire career, you're not playing that much. It's impossible to develop like that. So I do kind of agree with that. He has been held back a little bit, and Gallant is kind of to blame for that, in my opinion. But mostly David Quinn. When David Quinn was head coach, Lafreniere never played. It's pretty messed up.
That is messed up indeed. But right now, Alexis Lafreniere is struggling to see the ice, not getting a lot of ice time, not producing points when he is on the ice, and was a healthy scratch just about a week ago. So what is the future for Alexis Lafreniere? Does he go out there, continue to get minimal playing time and hopefully make an impact? Or could the Rangers start to consider trading him? Now, Eric, what do you think that the Rangers would be able to yield in an Alexis Lafreniere trade? Because very young player, a lot of talent, and a lot of potential. Teams around the NHL are already interested in him and attempting to trade for him before the Rangers have even made it any bit clear that they're willing to do so. In fact, they've made it the opposite. They've made it clear that they're not willing to do so. But yet teams are still really interested in Alexis Lafreniere and acquiring his talents on their rosters. So what do you think that the Rangers could get for him with so much interest around the league?
I think we can definitely get a decent amount because, as we've been saying, he isn't like a star player just yet, but the teams know that he has the potential to be. And if he's not developing properly on the Rangers because of our management and the lines and the playing time, other teams know that they do have the ability to properly develop him into an NHL star. So when you look at what we can get, especially at this point with the Rangers, we're making a playoff push. We currently hold the divisional playoff position, and we're expecting to make a deep push come the end of the season. We kind of need someone to fill that role and be like a good star. We've been talking about potential trades for Patrick Kane. I've heard names like Vladimir Tarasenko out there. Now, it would take a lot more than just Lafreniere to make a big trade like that, but definitely another top six winger should definitely be in the mix there, because you look at our lines right now, you got like Vitaly Kravtsov playing on the second line. Not my favorite line right there. So just get another player that could potentially fill that gap, and then have Kravtsov or someone down on the third line, I think would be nice. We really don't want to trade for like prospects or picks right now. We have our team, a team that we know can make it very far in the playoffs. And I just think a solid winger that could fill that position and really solidify that top six, I think would be the best option for us. And I think we can definitely pull that off due to his potential. And I know, like you said, the Canucks have shown interest. They have made calls to the Rangers about trading for him. And the Canucks are one of those teams that have a lot of great wingers on that team. A couple of weeks ago, we did an episode talking about guys on the Canucks like Brock Besser and Bo Horvat that are potentially open to trade right there. And I think those would be two great options, players very similar to Lafreniere who have already broken out into the NHL and are pretty successful. So definitely a top six winger is what I would say.
Yeah, that's the target, right? To get a top six winger. And I think that the Rangers could probably try and get that out of Alexis Lafreniere. Maybe one or two other pieces packaged in, draft picks, whatever the case might be. But I think that Alexis Lafreniere holds a lot of value, and he's not really living up to the value that he holds, right? So I think that, you're saying that you think the Rangers are making the right decision, telling all the teams, go away, like we're going to keep Alexis Lafreniere. But as you know, I personally disagree. I think that for such a valuable player who is not actually making that much of an impact for the Rangers, they will be much better suited off trading away that value for a player who will make an instant impact. Because I get it, Alexis Lafreniere, he's young, he's still developing, he has some time, and if you're playing the long-term game here, he could be a real star in the next few years. But unfortunately, the way that the Rangers roster is constructed, he's not seeing any ice time, so he's barely out there on the lines and making an impact. And also, the Rangers are in win-now mode, right? This season, they're making that comeback. They had that little dry spell for a while, but right now they're rolling again. They're coming off of a 2021-22 season that saw them finish in the Eastern Conference Finals. They have a chance to make some noise right here, and I think that the smart move is to trade Alexis Lafreniere mid-season and find the guy who steps in immediately and gives you that extra push to go ahead and hopefully compete for the Stanley Cup Finals.
I mean, I see your point. The win now mentality is there, and if the proper trade were to, just appear, and it was like one of those ones where you'd be stupid to say no, then I wouldn't be mad about it. But I do think that Lafreniere is like potential to be a star, and I don't want to see him on another team lighting us up in a couple of years, you know. So even though like we are in a win now type thing, we do have the potential to win now without him being a superstar at this very second. So I don't know. It's a controversial subject right here. Keep him, trade him. I think there's benefits and negatives to both, but I think the Rangers will make the right choice. They usually always do. Drury is a mastermind.
Yeah, Drury is great, although we could say our criticisms of Dragolant. I mean, I think that he's done a great job, you know, turning the team around from where they were earlier in the season. But presently, I think that there are some criticisms to make in terms of how he's been developing Alexis Lafreniere. And so hopefully we see more from Alexis Lafreniere. I know that the trade deadline, it's starting to become a conversation. Trade rumors are swirling, but there's still a lot of time before that deadline actually takes place. So the Rangers really do have a lot of time to maybe negotiate something for Alexis Lafreniere to get out of here and get something good in return, or to develop him. And Alexis Lafreniere has some time to prove the Rangers wrong and convince them that they need to keep him for the long haul. So I guess it'll be interesting to see, but we'll be monitoring the situation carefully and keeping you updated right here on Fireside Rangers. Make sure to leave a like if you enjoyed this episode and comment your thoughts on the topic down below. You think Alexis Lafreniere should be traded? You think that he's a star in the making and they need to keep him? Let us know down below. Make sure to subscribe to the channel if you're new and ring the bell so you don't miss an episode, and we'll catch you all on the next one. Have a good one, and let's go Rangers.
Let's go Rangers.
He shoots.